Okay, here we go. Now we're ready. Okay, so welcome to the Open Space Task Force Subcommittee of Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee. We are starting here at 5:20. This is our makeup meeting. And before we get started, I'd like to say that the meeting is being recorded by the Open Space Task Force. And if any other persons present are doing the same, please let me know at this time. Being none, let's move on. All right, let's do a quick intros. We have no members of the public besides those invited to participate here today. So we're all invited to participate throughout the meeting, and we'll just all introduce ourselves in one big introduction. Okay, so those who are involved regularly can say they're regularly involved, and those who are guests can introduce themselves as guests. And let's just start with Dan up on the screen.
I'm Dan Piasecki. I'm part of the Open Spaces Task Force as well as the Greenfield Recreation Commission.
Great. And Seth, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Seth Kelly. I work at Mount Grace. Excited to hear what you guys are doing.
Excellent.
Kelly. I'm just making sure you're all set.
You're all set. Patty, thanks Thank you so much. Yeah, you too. Yep.
You too.
Great. And we'll go around here. Liam, introduce.
I'm Liam Cregan. I work at Franklin Land Trust doing land projects. Also excited to be here.
Pat Sarantino, and I'm with the task force.
I'm Tia Martin. I'm a regular guest.
I'm Nancy Hazard with the task force and SGIC.
Allison Gage, I'm a non-voting member of the task force.
Francois Scott, and I'm on the task force and the SGIC.
Jonah Keene, I'm the chair of the task force and member of SGIC.
Emily Voss, I'm on the task force and the Conservation Commission. I also work with Franklin Land Trust, but I'm participating right now in my town capacity.
I'm Patty O'Neill, and I'm a non-voting community member of the Open Space Task Force.
Excellent. Thanks everybody for being here. So our first quick order of business is to approve minutes from our last meeting. Do we have a motion?
I added a few things that I wasn't sure.
Well, we have to the very silly process.
Yes.
Which drives me totally nuts, but
So moved.
so moved. In a second.
Second.
Okay, now we can discuss. Sorry. Very silly.
Yeah, it was just I wasn't quite sure about some of the things that that Ella mentioned at that meeting where we were going over the maps, and I added it to the minutes as things that one of them was
What she suggested.
yeah, thank you.
Ella and Jessica. Okay, it says at a meeting with Jonah, Allison, and Patty on January 16, 1926, Ella and Jessica reviewed the ecological conservation map. Ella suggested parcels prioritized for development. I think you just added who was in that meeting and when, which I already accepted. I'm assuming that's correct.
Yeah.
Then you added something which I'll read. Ella is interested in a zoning overlay to protect water supply, a desire to live join zoning maps to assessors maps, real time and forecasted, and the possibility of district local tech assistance, possibly related to land grant question mark.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure what all this means.
I had sparse notes of those things, and I wasn't sure if you had a more recollection of those and whether they were applicable.
I don't. So you're saying that we talked about those in the last meeting?
No. In the meeting, my understanding of that paragraph was that it was referring to our meeting with Ella.
Yes, but it is just the notes from what was discussed about it in our meeting.
Right. I guess we didn't discuss that in the meeting.
So if we didn't discuss it in the meeting, then it doesn't need to be in the minutes. Yeah. Even though it is important information. It's good information. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to check on that.
Cool. Okay, great.
All right. And there was and Nancy had a couple of minor edits
That I put into the book.
Yeah, and I already accepted
Yeah.
it. Put a period there or yeah.
Grammatic. Yeah. Okay. Great. Any other discussion on that?
Just on minutes in general, I I was looking up prior minutes for Open Space Task Force and SGIC, and they're not listed on the website.
They don't post them anymore.
Yeah, I guess it's not a requirement to post them. They're posted up until like a certain point, right? And then there's like the last many months or not, or are they all gone? They were up
Up to
there.
October of 24 or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's different. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
it varies a lot, but I feel like that should be something, hopefully that, like, I don't know why it doesn't happen anymore. If it's just that staff can't handle it, but I wonder if that's something that we can try to do as committees, because
So
if this is kind of related, and I just am not able to like only watch like YouTube videos of SDIC to know what's going on,
Yeah.
and I can't even find the minutes. So
Yeah.
it's really hard.
they are all supposedly on the GCTV channel,
It's hard to
but
search.
it's really hard to find.
Yeah.
I know Amy Galen in SGIC mentioned to me, she said she would send me the link, so maybe there is a link.
Hmm.
So if they could at least put the link to where you can find them.
Hmm.
Is that for all committees and commissions that we're not requiring written notes, or is it just SGIC?
Some of them
I think
do.
Notes are required, it's just they don't upload them to the website.
So they're not being posted
So there, you can only send like a public records request.
We're posted.
for everything?
For us, we have to go through Amy. She's our official staff.
Okay.
So everything goes through her. So we would agree
Right.
with her. I can let me look into it and just see.
Yeah, I think they should be posted.
I'll just check in with Amy on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I actually have one of the more, edits, that I forgot to tell you about. But in the section that says implement the pollinator pilot plan,
Hold on, I have to get back there. Yeah,
and it says MF will help Patty, and also I'm part of that group, so.
yeah, it was,
My name should be on that.
that was related to. I said I would
The
help
DPW.
with Elena, with Henny. I said I would help because I
Helena,
would.
okay, yeah, I'm
Turns
not
out she
gonna
didn't
help
need
with
me.
Helena, but I would.
I haven't
with the
had
other.
a chance to meet yet
Okay.
either.
Okay, thank you. Then there's no addition. Thank you.
Okay,
Right. With that, all in favor of approving these minutes?
I,
I
Oh, we got Dan there. Okay. All right. Great. Thanks, everyone. All right. So now on to the meat of our agenda, which is looking at our priorities. And our first priority is our identifying and mapping different parts of the city for conservation.
So did we want to show the map that we've been working on?
Yeah, so I shared with Liam and Seth, right? Did you have that, Seth? I shared it. We can share it up on the screen too. The current draft of where we're at with the conservation priorities.
I didn't bring a copy, but I have looked at it.
You have looked at it, yeah. Yeah, so we could pop that up for ourselves.
Will you change the settings so I can compare? Oh, yeah.
So, so this map has been many months in the works, and was first talked about just with this group, and then now we've shared it a bit with some city staff as well and gotten their input. One note for everybody, actually, I haven't shared as I just heard back from Ella, who had a meeting with Christy from Recreation. I shared it with her and asked if she had input, and I hadn't heard back. So but she and Ella met and talked about it. So she had a couple bits of input on that as well, which we can talk about. And then Ella and Jessica from the planning department have had some input on it. And then today we've invited Liam and Seth to provide some input on it and for us to sort of share what we've been working on. Any land protection project that we're planning to do in the city would be in partnership. And so we've invited our partners to look at this with us. And so I think what we had in mind was one, just to share it and to hear your thoughts, if you have any thoughts on what we've created. And then talk a bit about next steps too, from your perspectives of how we would be moving forward, having this map. And I think, and I saw, Patty, you had started a list of some other questions. I think we may have some other discussion questions, but that's sort of the initial starting point for us.
It's called the conservation priorities map. I never remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Land conservation part.
Land conservation.
Yeah. So Allison's been our lead map creator, and Patty's been having a big role as well. I don't know if you want to introduce it a little bit for Seth and Liam's sake.
Sure. So this map works so that the darker a parcel is, the more features are on that parcel. It doesn't necessarily mean that they all overlap. It just means that that parcel has a certain number of features. So the dark green parcels are the ones that we deem to be highest priority in terms of maybe doing some landowner outreach. The list down on the bottom is all the different data sets that are included in this map. We did a lot of back and forth on what to include. Previously, we had on agricultural soils and more features related to farmland, but we decided that it was a little too much for this map, so that's going to be a separate map. We're going to have a different agricultural focus map. So this really just focused on ecological integrity per se. So it's all the biomap layers that we thought were most important. And then the 100-year floodplain and the mapped river corridor that was done a couple of years ago, which mostly shows where rivers can move over time. So it's usually showing more area than just the 100-year floodplain. Yeah, that is.
And you'll notice the urban core part doesn't have a whole lot going on there. We're also planning on making a separate map for that with a different lens. So thinking a little bit more on human access as in addition to broader goals, ecological goals, but prioritizing a human access element to the stuff that's in that urban area. So that's in the works.
Another layer that we were talking about adding is this ecosystem connectivity corridor. It's a UMass program called EcoConnect. That's pretty cool. And it kind of looks like spider webs that show like in the same way, like the more layers of these like spider webs, and like the more that's like a very strong ecosystem connection, whether it's wetlands or forests. And I think that would be cool to add to this map because it looks visually different, but also it cuts across the north part of Greenfield from the west to the east. So I wonder like what their point was in that data was that even if it's not like technically high ranking ecological like land of high ecological integrity, it's still like a valuable connection. And so I think that when we're thinking about parcels of land that might be like maybe best suited for development of housing or solar, that we're keeping in mind. And I wonder what kind of different strategies for conservation or funding might exist for corridors too. So I do have an example of that, but it's not on this map yet. Anybody would like to see?
Is there a minimum acreage for what you included?
No, there is not.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It almost looks like it, but I guess all the smaller parcels,
Yeah.
they just didn't co-align with some of the data that you.
Yeah, and I think most of the smaller parcels are really like up here. Yeah, and they're not included. No, but I didn't include a minimum, and then yeah, the downtown area is peeled off.
And then it's the 1 through 5. How did you come up with that score?
So each parcel gets 1 point for each layer that's on it. So it just means like a 5 has 5 of those, 5 of any mix of these layers.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went back and forth about having a weight for different layers, but decided to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're each with 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, my initial thought is like, I guess internally at FLT, like we haven't done this kind of analysis really for any town we work in, but it's interesting that the areas that light up the darkest green align with some of the areas that we have the most interest in and kind of like have thought about as places where there's a lot of biodiversity, so the Green River Corridor. And then that area also has a lot of working farms that are currently viable farms. So it's interesting. I'm glad you're doing the farmland map. It's interesting that there's, potentially conflicts there between the farm, an active farm, and the biodiversity there. But I think there's also potential for both to occur. And I think it's great that you're going to do the farmland map. That was one thing that I was thinking about. With the farmland map, I had thoughts like if there's a way to discuss is this land with prime farm soils an active farm? Like I think that would be an interesting thing to explore, which is more you have to go out there and collect that data, I suppose, rather than have it available.
Does FLT have any of that type of data for Greenfield of where there are active farms or
Not exactly. I mean, there's 61A records.
Yeah.
That would be one way.
Mhm.
But I think you'd kind of have to look through.
But Mount Grace, and maybe Seth can speak to this, has done agricultural inventories of various towns. I don't remember offhand if Greenfield was one.
I think it did like a decade ago because I've seen a copy of that.
Yeah.
I say the question one more time.
Seth, there were some inventories, agricultural inventories that Mount Grace staff did. It hasn't been a decade, Allison. Oh my God. But I was wondering if Greenfield is one of the areas that you guys delved into to because it's hard to tell, you can look at a map and say, oh, there's farm soils, but it's a very different thing to say, is there an active farm there?
Oh, I got you. No, I would just, I don't think we do right now have the active farm stuff. I think like what Liam said, the best way to do it is the 61A, but no, we don't have the active kind of registry of that.
Yeah. Seth, are you hearing everybody okay, or is it kind of tough to hear?
No, I am. I got a dog that was just doing some stuff right while you were asking the question. So
Oh, okay, great. No worries. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Good. Any other questions or input that you had, Seth, on this map?
yeah, no, I think this is great. Is there a line that you guys are looking for? So now you take this information, it's all great, and then you're going to prioritize what, 3, 4, and 5, 4 and 5, just 5, or what's that next step that you're looking to do with these scores?
We've discussed that, but we haven't solidified anything. So we've talked about where we want to start.
We also want to get public input as well. We're not just going to take bare scores because there might be things that we're missing that have local significance.
Right.
So we're, sort of taking it in stages. The first round was getting input from people on the different commissions and town boards and staff. Right now we're, the land trusts are the natural next step. And then eventually we'll be doing some public engagement sessions where we can get, share what we've put together. And then in addition, say, okay, so what's missing or what among these are a high priority to the community?
Yeah, and I think that this map overlaid with something like the agricultural map and working on a natural communities map could be helpful to kind of figure out maybe what kinds of strategies to look for in all of these parcels. And like maybe it gives us an idea of what kind of funding would be appropriate or what kind of like activities to try to prioritize. And like what kind of outreach or yeah, I think it's just really illustrative and it's just great to see it all visually.
Yeah, one other question I have is when you say permanently protected open space, does that include everything that has a CR on it or just stuff that has public access protection?
I'm pretty sure it's CRs, and then I think there also might be APRs in this because I think this parcel here
Yeah.
is where just was. So yeah, it's CRs and APRs. It's pulled
Okay.
from Mass Mapper.
And municipal
And
land as well?
Yes, the conservation commission.
Are there any state lands in Greenfield, like Fish and Game? There's a couple of Fish and Game
Yeah,
parcels, right?
I'm pretty sure this parcel right here, there are a couple of parcels that are water supply protection.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, yeah, this corner.
Yeah, I've seen, I think into Leiden too. I think Fish and Game has some interest in the Green River as well, just because of the rare species, whatever they are. I don't know what they are.
That's a good point. As another
What about down by
partner.
the Connecticut River? It's not owned by some kind of federal
Yes.
Yeah,
entity?
yeah, it's a narrow strip along the river. It's yeah.
Right.
The utility company owns that, right? Not the state, or does the state own that?
I think
Oh yeah,
I thought the utility company owned it.
yeah. I think you're right.
But they're not gonna give it to you. So you could say, maybe, I don't know.
I think up near Route 2, there's a bit of land that Fish and Wildlife holds, if I recall correctly. So there may be, I think that might be the thin strip that somebody was just mentioning.
Huh.
But I do remember that Fish
Never
and
mind.
Wildlife has a small parcel that's on the river near Route 2, I think. Yeah.
Do sound right. Any other input, Liam or Seth, just on our approach here? Is there anything? I think that the parcel size question is an interesting one that I don't remember us spending much time chatting on. If we wanted to hone in on a certain minimum size, but
yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like the smaller parcels naturally got weeded out.
yeah,
Because I think of the development on them.
right.
My only comment too is if you have stuff, I'm really listening and jotting down stuff to that I'm going to go back and do. So like really seeing what we have for working farms, that's kind of a task for me. So really I want to pull out of this things I can help you guys with.
Yeah, great. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that would be super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of questions too. Are you all using the EcoConnect tool too in any of your mapping? Like to like, I'm curious how you're thinking about corridors, or if that's something that you're doing with the land trust.
FLT, I'm not actually familiar with that tool. Is it connected with CAPS, the conservation? So do you know who Scott Jackson is? He's a professor at UMass, and it's what does CAPS stand for? Do you remember, Emily?
I can't remember.
Conservation Assessment and Prioritization System.
Sounds right.
So he developed all this mapping. It's probably connected with some of his work.
Yeah.
But the work that he did was create this like index of ecological integrity. So they don't look like corridors as much as they look like blobs on a map. And I'm guessing maybe that work was to find where areas of connectivity can occur on the landscape right now. And I think that is a really interesting lens. Like often we think about, at least in the land trust world, of big blocks of land. And then there's opportunities to collaborate with other groups to think about connectivity. Like, for example, there's a group called the Berkshire Wildlife Linkages Network, and that group is an intersection of folks who work more on land conservation, folks who work more on things like culvert assessment and habitat connectivity under roads. So I think there are existing groups. I don't think Greenfield is part of that region.
What was that called?
Berkshire Wildlife Linkages. But there are groups like Connecticut River Conservancy who I think specialize a bit more in thinking about wildlife passage and how it relates to human infrastructure. So yeah, there's a bit of like sometimes a gap between those two worlds that groups like the Berkshire Wildlife Linkages are trying to connect. But that sounds like an interesting tool to look at what actually is connected. Right?
Yeah, I was excited to find it. Seth, do you use that tool, EcoConnect? Well,
No, I was just trying to look it up. If you can send me like the link or whatever to it, like it does sound like a really cool tool. We do not
yeah,
use that.
yeah, I will. Um, my next question was, if you're thinking about old growth characteristics, I was reading about like that being a LiDAR project in Vermont and was asking Paul Catanzaro if we had one here for UMass and maybe thinking about that kind of thing, but I didn't finish reading the publications he sent back. So do you consider old growth in this
Old
area?
growth or old growth structure?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of his work is focused on the characteristics of old growth.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of remaining old growth.
Yeah. Well,
It's out there. There are old growth characteristics. I think they're worth conserving, generally speaking. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm wondering if you are mapping native plant communities for landowner and municipal land stewardship collaboration, especially in relation to agroforestry.
I think we're doing much of that work right now. I mean, our stewardship staff on some of our fee-owned properties. So we do conservation restrictions, but then we also buy land occasionally or accept donations of land on those lands. Franklin Land Trust does, spend a little bit more time understanding what's on the land than with the conservation restrictions. With conservation restrictions, we tend to provide the tools for a landowner to understand that for themselves.
Yeah, and ours is more robust on the invasive species. But I gotta say, your questions are awesome.
Thanks. But more. But I don't want to hog up all the.
Yeah, we may want to, just since we got a late start,
Yeah.
if you have.
Okay. Seth, I asked you a question like almost a year ago that I never really followed up on, but it's about more details about what is allowed in working forest and forever wild conservation restrictions. And does that include things like community land tending, like pole wood and non-timber wood harvesting, that sort of thing?
I haven't dealt with the Forever Wild. I just know how kind of hands off the whole project is. If someone were coming to me about the Forever Wild stuff, and they had specific things that they would like to do with it, I would kind of back off of the Forever Wild. Liam may say something a little bit different, but because you can write it in a different way to kind of give a little bit more flexibility.
We've had some properties that had limitations on commercial cutting, but then there's often in the restrictions a full description of the examples of the types of activities that can be done. And then typically it's the forest management plan that's required for, most activities, but certainly for any commercial harvesting activities.
And if it were just community?
If it's conservation restriction, and Liam can talk to this.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the process of doing a Forever Wild restriction that did not get done. And the way that one was written, I would say what you're describing would not have been allowed under it. But I mean, it's a flexible document, so like it's not black and white, like there can be shades of how you decide to talk about forest management and what is and isn't allowed.
Okay.
And when I say commercial cutting, I mean any purchase or any cutting that is for sale off of the land. It's the distinction between personal use, which is just for the use of the landowner, versus commercial. I'm not talking about a commercial property.
Indigenous land stewardship. I was really interested and inspired by the Nuswattamunk framework that's happening in collaboration with No Loose Braids at Mount Grace. And I'm really curious to explore that with more land trusts in general. And I feel like part of that is supporting locally indigenous people to be land stewards. And I wonder if that could be, is that something that land trusts are able to like put grant money towards perhaps or fund?
I know at Mount Grace, we don't put grant money or funds really to that. We do explore funding options. We do have a couple of projects where we'll apply for some grants. We make sure that all our Indigenous partners, when they do work for us, they're paid. It's not we're just asking them to volunteer all the time. There is a lot of work right now being done for there's groups that are now becoming 501(c)(3)s that kind of are fitting under our umbrella right now that are applying for their own funding. And that just takes a while to get the 501(c)(3) up and going. So I think there's more mechanisms. What we're trying to do is more mechanisms for independence on that front instead of it coming through Mount Grace. We're kind of helping build up that organization to do their own work. But we do a lot of cultural easements. And basically that's just stating the ability for people to go on and do more of a catalog of plants and the features of the land, really the stuff you're talking about. It just gives us, we already have the ability to do it, but this kind of puts it down on paper so it's more visible.
One more big question, if I can.
I think we should move on. These are great questions. I feel like we need to focus in on if it's quick, you said big question. That's what made me nervous.
Well, it's just related to like I remember when we talked to Mount Grace last time, we talked to Seth last time, the Mount Grace was doing projects related to like creative community endeavors and just trying to get in contact with DPW and knowing their limitations and like the budget cuts with Greenfield. I wonder if there could be any like if that would be something that Land Trust could work on, like with stewardship resources
on city land.
On city land, community housing projects. Like I'm kind of thinking of how might this apply to our urban core and our environmental justice areas? And some of these vacant lots that we're considering projects for. Just who can help with the maintenance? How can we fund the maintenance? If DPW can't quite, I mean, maybe they can do it. I mean, there's a lot in the updated chapters that is calling. I have a list of all the things that
Of the master plan?
the updated master plan calls for providing more training to DPW to maintain native plant species on municipal land, explore low maintenance site designs, train DPW on green infrastructure maintenance, seek funding for downtown cleanup and garden space and green space maintenance, consider ordinance that permits and encourages citizen stewardship of public lands. Quite a lot that we don't know how to fund.
There's no funding plan, but it exists as a goal at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Step one,
That's right.
just cheer it on.
That's right. Is there any precedent for that from your land trust, the sort of involvement on a city project that's not necessarily a land trust?
No, I mean, not typically. Yeah. Sorry, Seth, go ahead.
The rest of the family just came in. We're working on some right now. This is the thing I'm most passionate about, so I'm glad that you're rounding out with this one. We have some vacant lots in Athol, for instance, that I'm really trying to get worked into their community development plan. And there's work that we're trying to do with brownfield funding, and really looking at, like, I don't know, the best way to explain my kind of viewpoint is when you look at the map that you just did with the 1 to 5. I do think there's a lot of value in the ones sometimes. If you can restore land, if you can do work like that, I think that's a real valuable place to go and put some energy into as well. So we're working with the town of Athol right now. There's a vacant lot right near the city, right in the heart of the town. It's right on the river. And we're looking at funding sources, that kind of stuff. But right now it's just in the planning stage.
Cool.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Great questions. Thanks so much for your time on this, Liam and Seth. I think the big final question that I had with the map that we're working on is thinking about our next steps with both your organizations. Is there thoughts on how you think, since we're getting this to a place that feels like it represents our priorities, which over the next 2 months, hopefully we'll get to a point that has public input on as well. What do you two see as the next steps of how we would be working with your two organizations to implement the plan?
I guess I would say that I'm very interested in public input. So I think that's a really important part of the process, and understanding, what the community feels is most important in terms of prioritizing. Like, the map we have here is very focused on biodiversity, and I think the organization that I work for is the most maybe equipped to help find funding and protect that kind of land. But that doesn't mean that that's what's most important to the community. So I guess I would be curious to know, after you go through that process and develop these other maps, like the urban core map and the farm soils maps, what's kind of rising to the top in terms of community input. And from there, let that kind of guide, I think, how FLT can help. I think we're certainly interested, if there's any farmer in Greenfield, of figuring out how to get them into the APR program, or how to help them in another path that makes sense for them. If there's any land that somebody is wanting to sell that has high biodiversity value, and it's either a good fit for the city or a state agency or something like that, I think we've often provided a lot of support in navigating that process. So applying for funding, implementing and administering the funding, and kind of just jumping through all the hoops. And I think if there's help that you all need as you're thinking about lands that you want to protect, we want to be there to help. I think, I would be interested to know, I guess, how the city feels about owning more conservation land too. I think that's another question to explore. Like you were saying about the city doesn't have funds to steward land right now. So that's obviously an issue as well, is making sure there are funds available for land stewardship activities, whether that's, more city staff, or, like you're saying, more citizens getting involved. Because that's obviously very important if you're going to be taking on more land. But I was curious, because there's a lot of state funds that towns can take advantage of and land trusts can't. So I think that's a really a sweet spot. Like, if the city has an appetite for conserving more land, then a land trust can help navigate that process. And I think that's a really great opportunity for collaboration.
And what about the process of landowner outreach? So we have a map, but we don't know the majority of the landowners of the parcels that we're prioritizing. Was that something you'd be involved with or be interested in helping with?
I think potentially, I would want to know which parcels that you are all interested in, because I think it depends on, I think with each scenario, it could have a very different conservation outcome. Like I was saying, a farm versus, a parcel right along the Green River. So I think what I would prefer is, like, you have this map. I'd prefer to sit down again and look at it with you all and talk about maybe what next steps are, and make recommendations. And perhaps we could help, I think, with the outreach, but I'd want to talk about that a bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Seth, any other thoughts from Mount Grace on that?
Yeah, I would just ask for those questions to be sent over. That'd be awesome. And then I think the other thing is, a lot of times we'll host like informational meetings so people can learn more about conservation. And if we did that at the same time that you're doing the public input meeting, or even just prior to that, it might give us a better idea too of just what owners are thinking about. That might fit in a little bit easier in the open space plan as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, if either of you are interested in being involved in our public engagement, that would be fabulous. So we can keep you in the loop on that. Yeah. I know we've taken a lot of your time, including 20 minutes of doing nothing. So I don't want to take too much more. We're going for another half an hour, but so you two are welcome to leave unless anybody else has any final questions, or you two have any final input. You're welcome to stay as well. We are going to talk a little bit about our public engagement, so we welcome you to stay, but you need to go. We understand.
I will listen to that for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off. Just send me that information.
Yeah.
and I'll get on it.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Anything else on? Oh, I guess the one other thing that I didn't mention was what the information from Christy, her input was that rec department has plans and interest for land acquisition, but a lack of resources has been the main issue, and they've been focused on in other priorities have been a focus for them. But for them, their priorities around land acquisition include access to rivers, trail connections, and
Hey, not too quick.
I can send you this too.
Okay, yeah, send it.
And access to existing trail systems.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the next map would be what she wants.
Yeah.
Sorry, are we looking at that map, or are we moving on to like planning for public?
No, if you have a map first look at it.
I said I was gonna have all 3 maps done for this meeting. That was super ambitious, but I can pull up what me and Patty were working on.
Oh.
So at least you could like all see the direction it's going in.
That would be great.
Okay.
Just to have a look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could talk about some.
And then yeah, Patty, I saw your messages about doing the map. Thank you for that. So this is gonna be hard for us all to see, and there's no legend yet. It's actually maybe not to look at, but
I don't know.
This one, we call it
we're calling it the
Downtown?
Greenfield Downtown Access Map. But the general idea here is that it shows the permanently protected open land. I don't know if I can zoom in far enough. The black dots are the existing trails. It's hard to see on here, but there's also the dotted red line, I think, or the bike routes, and then the solid red lines are the bus routes with all the stops. And then the city-owned parks are dark green. This other lime green are the vacant lots. So it's already city-owned land.
I like that you made it green also, just to sort of like nudge us in that direction.
The trees are also green though, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
So wait. Open space that's owned by land or any open space?
There is both. There's permanently protected open space, and then there's the city parkland. So it's like city owned with limited protection. So it's like
I see the hash mark.
Vacant land.
sorry, vacant land. So it's just city owned land. There's no protection associated.
And it's not vacant land that's like not owned by the city.
It's vacant. It's land that's owned by the city that's not used for anything.
Is that the yellowy green?
Yes, it's this yellowy green. So there's some good spots.
Yeah.
But some of what I'm seeing probably is
hash
the trees.
mark.
It's patty.
Or this
Mhm.
parts. The orange hash is the I kept it the same as on the other map. It's the permanently protected open space.
Okay,
And then this green is like the parkland.
right, but
Park-
all that half stuff is
Park or vacant?
parks.
Dark green is park,
Dark green is
state,
park.
city park. Light green is city owned, unused. or
Got it.
But
vacant.
where all those trails are parked. That's what I'm.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that ridge isn't dark green.
That should be green.
Well, so that's permanently protected land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if that's too confusing, that's how.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
So the
So
part-
dark
yeah.
green is city owned, not
And
protected
not
park.
protected.
Because
Okay,
those big chunks are cemeteries, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cemeteries, yeah.
yeah, so that falls under like quote unquote limited protection.
Mhm.
Cemetery, I mean, they're essentially,
But-
they're not gonna use for anything. But,
Yeah.
But the pink, by in the south of the Greenfield there, where the big meander and the Green River is, and it's pink, is that like the Green River Park?
that is,
You're talking about the hash marks, right?
There are hash marks, but it's like a oh,
so
Yeah.
so yeah, that's still permanently protected.
okay, okay.
So what's the purple?
Purple is EJ, is
Oh.
it the environmental justice areas?
It's bigger than I thought.
And then I'm just turning it off so you can see, but then we also added in the Maple Brook culvert in
Uh-huh.
here.
Cool. Cool.
And then you can kind of see a little bit better, all the green dots are the street trees.
Hmm.
That Mary.
Wow.
So there's a lot on here, but yeah, mostly just trying to get a sense. And it sounds like this could have value for the rec department in terms of figuring out where there's gaps
Mhm.
in terms of trail access.
Right.
Or where they could make those connections a little bit better.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and if whatever prioritization system, if we develop that for this, then the rec department would like to see, priority given to those that provide access to river and trails.
Mhm.
So we
Right.
can have that be a factor. Yeah.
I wonder if it makes sense for this map to have brownfields and agricultural soil as like potential like points towards like potential projects that could occur in vacant lands or maybe like limited protection areas. Like I've seen some cool projects with what they're trying to do to manage graveyards differently.
Like based on the soil type. Or
Just maybe in like the stewardship, but yeah, the soil type would kind of indicate what it might be appropriate for.
Yeah.
And also like water utilities, like if we're thinking about like what can be watered.
Mm.
So I guess it's like access, but also I'm just thinking of things that like might be useful when you're considering like the feasibility of certain projects. Do we want to have a separate map for that?
I love expanding the map set. Yeah, so that one would more be focusing on like opportunities for
Like city
like,
gardens, that type of
city
thing.
stewardship opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm thinking also, but like access is an important like feasibility consideration
Right.
too. Like I'm thinking, if there's a bus stop nearby or a bike lane or a trail, like that's great access to have and great for environmental justice areas. And I mean, that could maybe even, I think, should consider areas beyond downtown, like if we're trying to encourage community engagement in Griswold, that's like at the other end of town and there's no safe way to get there. And the Conway students, I saw their bike plan and they're focusing on Davis Street and Ella was like, what, Mom, like dream bigger. and yeah, like it would be so like if there could be more like connection to like from downtown, safe connection from downtown to these like other like really ecologically intact areas, That seems like important access to show too. But there's only so much we can put on one map, so
It's true.
maybe we need a limit.
Yeah, and I guess so. I guess going back to what our goals are for this map,
Mhm.
and if we want to, do we want a product similar to the other one that has a hierarchy of some kind that will allow us to say, oh, these are tier 1 for protection, and these are tier 2 or something, or is that maybe not what we would do on this particular map? This
I'm just trying to like so much of like this area is mostly just like residential.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to parse out the properties that would be.
Is there any
Pretty
way to show population density within the city?
Oh. There must be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can think about that.
I wonder if housing has any resources that would be helpful for us.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
I was just thinking about, I mean, I feel like this area in particular is one that like you could invite the public to say, what do you really want to see in
Yeah.
Greenfield
Yeah.
that is open space? Do you want a community garden? Do you want an ultimate frisbee course? I don't know, whatever. Like there's all these potential recreational opportunities or open space that people might see as valuable, and just like inviting people to talk about it might inform where you're looking as well. That would be one thing to think about.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. Yeah, and I wonder with this maybe different from the other, which is more, layer based prioritization based on the layers. Maybe this is we create a map that has as much information that we think is relevant, like this we're building, and then the rest is more manual.
Right.
Just kind of go in and look at like where this is an area that looks like there's a dense population and doesn't have the same kind of access to a nearby park. Where could there be some land around here that might work? So it might be a little bit more intensive of just actually looking.
Yeah.
Once we have the info on there.
I wonder if, as far as accessibility, I think like information and transparency is another kind of accessibility, like knowing what's coming. And so like I wonder if there's any like future plans that we could show, like this will be happening, or maybe like what we're considering to happen here, like at a community engagement meeting. Then we could be like, this is where it's going to happen, and they might be like, oh, that's where I like to do all this, like right here. I don't know, like we might get feedback by like being able to illustrate like all this planning that is happening, like kind of behind the scene. But I'm not sure how to show that visually just yet.
So just to keep an eye on the clock, we are tight on time. We do want to talk about community engagement, but any last yeah.
I was just sitting here, came right into my head. I don't know if this is a crazy idea, but it's more stewardship. Well, it's stewardship and getting people involved in the more urban areas. And because, I'm a wildlife person and a birder, you can walk around Greenfield and hear, for example, hear all kinds of birds in the neighborhoods. And, some of them have more green space and some of them have less. But I was thinking, this would be kind of a neat thing, is give people an example of a walk they could take around town that would highlight some of the, nice places to listen to birds. And they wouldn't, so in other words, if they can't get to Highland Park or they can't get to Griswold, or if they just want 15-20 minutes some morning to go for a walk, give them an idea of where to go. And, it's not going to probably be like, real super populated areas, but in the more less populated, but it's just so many little lots and places. I've seen bears near Davis Street running around. So, there's more wildlife than we think in the urban areas.
Yeah, I love that idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah, of even thinking of the various open spaces we have downtown and directing people to them more.
Right.
basically, yeah.
For the past couple of years, the tree committee's done a tour of
Yeah.
trees throughout the city, and you
Mm.
know that's all published as a, you know, you can do it yourself with the locations of the
Mm.
trees and information.
Mhm.
And that was really popular. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I'd be happy to work on it too, so.
Yeah.
You know, fun.
yeah, great. Love that. So next steps on with this map?
Me and Patty should set up a meeting to
Yeah.
crank out some of the
Okay,
remaining parts.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
great. Thank you both for putting time into that.
Yeah.
Happy to.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think it's looking great. Yeah, great progress.
I think
Thanks.
it's the thought, you know, what you're saying, Liam, about wanting to get input from people. I think that really does ring true for me.
Yeah,
Part of the reason why we didn't want to just lump it in was because the way you look at conservation in the larger areas is so different.
Mm.
And you can't just go, oh, well, this is a 5. We absolutely should.
Mhm.
It really is more local, and it really is about what people are lacking rather than what's present. So and
Yeah.
building it in restoration or adding, you know, ability to get there. So
Yeah,
Wayne Fiden, who's the former planner in Northampton when I was in grad school, came and gave a talk. And he talked about all the great conservation work that the city of Northampton does and all this great land that they bought and how basically nobody knows about it. But like thousands of people use Pulaski Park every year, which is like half an acre in the center of Northampton. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like both, I think they both need to happen for different reasons. And yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting point to make where he's like clearly passionate about protecting the land, but he is also aware that creating this access in the city is like a huge quality of life increase for people. So yeah.
yeah, well, I guess that's a good transition point to talking about the public engagement. And so we have a couple questions around that. One is we had talked last time about May, and you had sent some dates based on your research for the middle of May. And our plan last time was to check in this time and say, how are we feeling about that timing? So now we're at early March, and we have our next meeting is end of March, and then we have an April meeting. So we'd have 2 more meetings, full meetings before a May public engagement. And obviously we could have an additional side meeting for prep for that. So the one question is on the map preparation and how you would feel with that timing, if that still feels reasonable.
How do you feel about it?
I think we can finish
Yeah.
the downtown map. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one more thing.
Is it, we want to have the farmland one. That's only a couple of layers, like it's less decision intensive on the part.
And hadn't we said that I want to do a separate meeting anyway?
Oh, we would just be focusing on the 2.
I think so.
Did we say that? Oh,
I-
we
we
definitely
haven't
could.
decided, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't remember deciding that, but we definitely could.
Farm would be separate. You mean a separate session for the farmland?
Right, that we were gonna have several meetings, not just one. I'm pretty sure we discussed
yeah?
having several,
We just talked about
Like a
having a
workshop
series and
series,
having
yeah.
Griswold and
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
right,
yeah, so we could, I guess we could play it by ear a little bit too. There's no, we don't have to decide that now to see if you were able to put together a draft for our next
Sure.
meeting. Great, if not.
I think the 2
The
that-
Griswold was a series of events that
Yeah.
I'm looking at notes for.
Yeah, I think it would be reasonable to have the first map and this map done.
Yeah. Great. So we could move
So-
forward with picking a date and
Right.
planning.
Yeah. Mhm.
Folks feel
May
good about that?
11, May 13, May
Yeah.
18.
Doesn't have to be.
What days of the week
Yeah.
are those?
Monday, no, Monday the 11th, Monday the 18th, or Wednesday the 13th was what was available
This
at the
is
library,
at the library, so we also could look elsewhere, but yes, this is at the
but that big room.
community room at the library. And I can't do Wednesdays, so yeah, for me it would be the 11th or the 18th from those.
Can we do the 18th rather than?
It's late, I think that's 100.
Because it's a week.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that's better for me too. Yeah.
That's always like the spring day, so like no one will come.
Do others feel good?
18th.
Are you
You
still
said?
good about that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you had said, what time did you have for,
It's 6, it's 6 to 8, but you kind of have to wrap up by 7.
that's when we have the room, it's
Yes.
6 to 8. So maybe it would start at 6, just get there at 6 and set up and it starts at 6:30, something like that.
So I'm just gonna say, it is challenging that the library closes at 8.
Mhm.
Everybody has to be out. And so, and I assume the meeting can't start earlier than 6, if somebody in there before that is accurate.
No.
Oh.
I think I asked 6.
Oh, okay. Because if that's possible, then,
Yeah.
I was feeling like,
Like we could go at
It's too
5:30 and set
cramped.
up.
well, or even meetings that I've done over at John Zahn, what we did is we actually offered pizza at 5 and then had people actually things starting at 5:30 or what, I don't remember
I don't
exactly.
know, let's see.
But it
Yeah.
was open-ended at the end. We didn't have to, we often didn't leave until
Flexible.
9.
I see.
So
Yeah,
that's,
I'd love extra time to talk with the community if they want to.
yeah.
If you got money for pizza, you should do
we have $0 for it.
it. Every time I get a chance, I say, bring food, people will come, because it really does make a difference. So.
I love the idea of being in the library. It's a much nicer space in so many ways.
What is the
The library,
libraries?
yeah. But I'm just questioning whether it will enable us to do what we want to do.
That nice
Because
open
of the
room.
time limit.
Yeah, John's on is that nice open room.
It's a great room.
And
Yeah.
you could like set up the maps so people can walk around.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And they can give a lot of feedback. Space to do that. Yeah.
Is there a reason, were we leaning? I don't remember, did we?
No,
we were
just
just
were
exploring.
I think
Yeah,
the John's on, somebody from the city has to, right?
has to be there.
Like has to arrange it. Like
Oh,
we can't ask.
Oh, I see. We can ask you.
Yeah, I'll ask Amy. She's been really helpful.
Okay, you will?
Sure, I'm happy to
Okay,
do that.
thanks.
Yeah.
Great.
So if you could do that fast, because
And Mondays
these dates are
are-
gonna.
Mondays are the dates that are best for John Thought.
Oh,
So
perfect.
I asked her about the 18th.
That'd be
And the
great.
one before. Yeah.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's an interesting idea about partners, because the other thing is we want to print out presumably some large version of these maps, which is also an expense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to think of, if we have ideas of who would be interested in being a partner that might also bring some finances to it.
I mean, there are community grants available from the banks in town.
Yeah, Greenfield Savings Bank. I see them on everything. Under
Yeah.
everything.
Right,
How much?
and it wouldn't be a lot of money.
$200
Right,
certainly could be applied for. Tree committee does, I'm sure Greenfield does.
right.
Yeah. Apply for those grants.
What's the cost of printing a giant map?
I don't know. I could find out from Copycat.
Yeah.
On Greenfield.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not cheap.
And that's it. I hate to say it.
Oh, contribution requests.
Yeah,
Arts and culture.
yeah, I can look into that. Into GSB.
Yeah, just says at least 2 months before funding is needed, online application.
Yeah,
That seems easy.
although 2 months before is coming soon.
Right.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'll look at that.
So this money would be the print maps and
Pizza.
And have some food of some kind would be nice to get people there. Snacks,
I wonder
advertising.
if there's like a local vendor who would be interested in doing that. Something beyond pizza. I can
Yeah.
try to think of something.
And a quick update from SJIC and from Ella is that the chapters have been okayed for public, the updated chapters. So
That's good.
that kind of moved along quickly all of a sudden. And so the idea that Ella and Amy had is that they are interested in coming to this meeting and just giving basically like a
intro.
5-10 minute talk highlighting Greenfield's successes with the master plan and mentioning that there's these updated chapters. So that's where we left it at the SGIC meeting, that assuming they are able to pull that together, they would love to participate.
So initially, we've been talking about focusing on the master plan and having the maps as a component, and now swap that.
Right. So the focus is still open space, and then they're there kind of as a introduction of sorts, of like broader view of what the city's been doing. And then one of the things the city's wanted to do is have an open space committee. Here we are. And so last meeting we talked about we would have some type of introduction to our work, and then have some breakout sessions that are focused on all of the different or 3 different priority areas that we're focused on. So I think thinking about our time between now and then is starting. So we have I guess Patty as our lead with pollinator, like thinking about how we might want to engage the public around that at a separate station. Francois and Pat thinking about, and Dan, I guess, if you representing recreation and thinking about how the public engagement around trail maintenance and need for trails.
So it sounds like we would be presenting, there'd be the presentation of the master plan, like a teaser, little 5-minute talk. The maps and getting input on the maps. And then 3 stations with our 3 priority that we're working on right now to get people to discuss those. Is that correct?
I think one of the stations would be
The maps.
the map,
Okay,
or more
gotcha.
detailed. I think we could present, like we could present that
To everybody.
to a whole group, right? Sort of the big thing we've been working on,
Yeah.
and then have a station be where people come and, does that make sense? Where they actually get more targeted input at the
Maybe
station.
like the
Yeah.
colored dots.
Yeah,
Sticky
yeah,
Yeah, sticky notes.
Um,
All right, that's
does
good.
that sound like
Yeah.
a good plan?
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, so each team can start to give a little bit of thought to what their table will look like, and then we can talk about it more at the next meeting. We'll give more time to it. Speaking of giving time to things, we are not going to give time to anything else, which I apologize. I know there was some, we wanted to, I think, come back to a couple of things that you brought up the last couple of meetings. So I'm sorry that we don't have time for that.
Just quickly.
Yeah.
When we looked at the map, the Greenfield Meadows Golf Course is a huge dark green blob. And we've been looking that over with Liam. That's one of the parcels that was of interest. And that's the golf course on Route 5 and 10.
Yeah.
That has has a lot of different types of
Floods.
flood storage,
Yeah.
natural communities, possible, it's already used for recreation, golf course, but anyway.
Yeah.
I think that the mapping is underlining some of the work that he has been doing in terms of highlighting that property.
And we'll talk more next time. That work? Yeah. Okay, great. Any final thoughts? Questions?
Just one thing, I was thinking, I don't know if people are interested in this, it'd be nice, maybe if we did a field trip and looked at some of the sites. I mean, just, looked at some of the places along the Green River or, some sites in urban areas, just because we keep
Yeah.
talking about these places and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, some people here might know more about places that I don't know about, I may know more about places no one else knows about.
It's a neat idea. Yeah.
So, and we could do it, it looks like, just for timing, we might want to do it after, the May thing.
After May, yeah.
No one has to worry about that.
Right. Neat idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have a question for Dan
Yeah.
regarding the trails, because we couldn't go, we are not sure when the Recreation Commission meets.
Nice.
Because we thought it was, the 3rd Thursday, but it seems like it changes sometimes, and so we would really like, and I can go to the next one, is it March 19th?
March 19th, and they are now at the fire station,
Okay,
or over Zoom.
okay,
Yep, 6 p.m. to 7:30.
all right, so we'll, should I email somebody to be on the agenda, or we just show up and ask questions?
I'll let them know that you plan on being there. I had let Christy know last time I thought you had said you were planning on coming in February.
I know,
So
but it changed. It wasn't on the date we thought it was. You told us that very same day that it was gonna be that day, right?
Well, I told you where it was at. Yeah, it had been on the calendar for, at least a week, like it's required.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that month we didn't, and then February and January we didn't do the third month because of events going on in the city or something like that, if I
Okay.
remember correctly.
All right, well, we'll plan on being there on the 19th.
Yep.
Excellent. We're at time. Thanks, everybody. It's so nice to have such a active group right now. We're doing great.
Look at
Thanks, everybody, for participating.
Thank you, Charlie, for
And,
persisting and getting us to be able to have
Yeah.
a meeting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for all being here. Everybody who was here. People haven't showed up with that gas scrap. Motion.
I move that we adjourn this.
Second.
I'll
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.